Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. We've had a few people ask Peter what his workflow is and would like to see how he manages a shoot start to finish. So he's going to run you through that now, but he's not going to be using his Hasselblad because we know not everyone has a Hasselblad. So he's going to be on his Leica using Lightroom, but this would be the exact same workflow if he was using any single camera that could tether to Lightroom.
Okay, I'm just going to go through my workflow from the start of a shoot through to end. And I'm going to do this on the Leica and using Lightroom, not my Hasselblad, because I know there's not many people using Hasselblad. So before we start a shoot, we normally got a storyboard of what we're going to do. And this storyboard, we're shooting in the studio, but hardly a single one of these pictures is in the studio. But that's not what my storyboards are. This one is not about the lighting, it's not about the clothing, it's about the emotion and the feel of the shoot. I've already got in my head what I want to do with my lighting and so forth. So once I've come up with that and we've styled the model up, I'll come into Lightroom. I've got my camera tethered or connected to the computer now. I'll just come in and tether capture, start a tether capture. I will name this and just, it's Beck. I don't need to put any more than that for me. That's all I need. Custom text will be Beck. And I'll start at number 1. So you'll see I've got custom settings. You'll see it says Beck. It's got the date backwards and then it'll have the sequence numbers on it. It's going to session Beck. My metadata is just my pre-set up metadata that I've got in there with my copyrights and so forth. I'll hit OK. All right, so it's now connected with my camera. You'll see it's got my shutter, aperture, ISO, my white balance, all of those. It's got to develop a setting which has got black and white, fill, no sharp. That's one of my presets. But when I'm setting up, I don't want a black and white. I actually want to set up in color so I can get my exposure warnings right. Although it really doesn't matter in this program. Normally I'd be in color, but I just realized it does not matter in here because I'm not going to use the highlight alerts in Lightroom because they're terrible. I'm going to use the ones on my camera. So I'll just leave it as black and white fill, which is a very neutral black and white, and sharpening is turned off. I might go up here and click here. Take a picture, bang. That all talks, that's all working now. So I'll get Beck now to come in. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a test shoot with Beck. Cool, that's really cool. All right, so I'm looking at that, that's looking dark. None of my overexposure warnings were going off on the screen here because, like I said, I do not trust the warnings on Lightroom. Well, it's not like I don't trust, they don't work. So quite like it there, just check my, no, nothing going off. I might give it a bit more. And just again, take a shot. And I won't even go to there. I'm just going to go to my screen here. And I can't see any overexposure warning going off. Unless I got a fraction, a little bit more room. And this is what I do. I'll just mess around here till I've got my exposure right. Cool. Another blinky shot, but right, I've pretty much pushed it as far as I can. My warning's not going off. So once I've got this fine, I'm happy with my exposure, I'm happy with my lighting, I'll then come through and just work this. That's cool. Nice. Cool. Cool. Now, normally on my shoots or commercial shoots, we would have music playing that Beck has picked. But because of copyright reasons, we can't do that while we're recording. And yes, all the people that say, oh, but you could use free stuff. Well, Beck doesn't know that free song, so it does nothing for her. Cool. And all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna keep shooting till I get my hero shot, and cool. That's really cool. Cool. That's better, I like that. So while I'm working, once I've got my exposure and everything right, I tend just to work on the model's attitude. So once I've got the model warmed up a bit and I've got a picture that I sort of like, I am just gonna get now the look we want. So, and because it's the last frame, it makes it really easy for me. So I'm going to just go into develop. This is going to be a black and white, but I might just check what happens if I go in a green channel, which I definitely like that better. So I'm going to just run, I shouldn't do that. Let's just check yellow. Yeah, I don't mind yellow, so I'll run with yellow channel. These were all LUTs that I made in Photoshop and I brought them in, and now I can use these and still keep a Lightroom thinking it's color. See, hue, saturation, luminosity. I get all of these sliders by having a LUT up in here. I'm just going to work on my own taste. So the hair, I would definitely want to get some more detail in the hair. So I'm just going to use shadow fill to bring up that hair. Highlights, I want to pull them just back a little bit. I don't want skin going too light. So I've got the highlights coming back. I think my whites can pretty much stay in the center, and I can just add a little bit of darkness into the blacks there. That's giving me quite a nice feel with that. If I come down here, will I give it a little mid lift? Well, that's nice, yeah. So I'm just giving it a slight lift in the mids. Now I can slip back up here and just make my blacks a bit blacker. So this is sort of like putting a contrast in the blacks, but still keeping lots of detail in here. But again, this is to my taste or my client's taste. I'll then run through my sliders. So movement, that's all that's doing is making her lips lighter, which I don't want to do. Skin's going to come up or skin's going to come down. I think I might bring the skin down just a fraction. I don't know how much yellow's only affecting her shirt in the background a little bit, so I'll just leave that as is. I don't think any of the other sliders are going to change the picture to how I want it to feel. I jump down to this. I love this. It's like sloppy. I don't touch the circles unless I was in color. For black and white, I'm only doing, so this is the mid-tones. See how I can, and it's a big sloppy slider, and this is my final fine tune because now I can really get the look and pull a little bit more highlights off that. Now, because this shot is pretty much going to be center of picture, I could come in now even, select radial gradient mask. Let's throw a big sloppy mask with a heap of feathering on Beck. Have the center pretty close to her face. I'm going to quickly invert it, 100% feather. See how it softens off so quickly? Now I can just get the type of vignette I want. There's just that slight pullback. So it's only a little bit, and what I could do is maybe just so the blacks don't go too dark, I'll just lift the blacks a fraction, and that's giving me this nice vignette type of feel on it. So I'm happy with that. I've just got to keep Beck dead center. Now what I do have to do is now go to here and change this same as previous. So now every single shot from here on, because this is my last shot, so this is the previous shot, every shot from now on will have this look to it. I'll drop back to library and let's just do a couple of shots. Cool. And you'll see my settings are now applying to every shot. Cool. That's really cool. Nice, nice. Cool, cool. That's really pretty. Nice, cool, cool. Like. Okay, and now I finished the shoot. The next thing I do is back things up. So while I'm in the studio, it's really simple. That's where everything was being recorded to, and I've got a studio backup drive. I've got a file called Beck DNG, which is anything I'm shooting with Beck at the moment. I just select all images and drag it into there. That'll just back up onto our hard drive system, which goes into our fire safe at the studio. What you'll notice, what I'm backing up is the entire shoot, including shots that are obviously duds. It doesn't matter, the entire shoot gets backed up there. One thing just to push on the backup, my rule is to have a minimum of 3 backups in 2 places. Anything less than that, you're going to get caught out. I've been caught out. I thought 2 backups was fine in 2 different places. What happens if your main drive gets damaged and you go to the backup drive and halfway through saving again, it faults? So I've been caught twice with that. So I recommend 3 drives in 2 places, which means I have a drive at all times up at my home office. I have a drive at all times at my studio, and they are far enough apart that a flood won't affect either and a bushfire won't affect either. Right now, this shoot is on 3 different devices in 1.5 places. So I have the backup drive here, it is on my computer here, and it's in my boot on the Leica. Now, what I'm going to do now is put it on my working drive. So my working drives are these little 2 and 4 terabyte little drives. These come with me everywhere. They go home, they stay in my briefcase with me. They pretty much follow me around, and these are what I work on images on. And when I get home, the very first thing I'll do tonight when I get home is then back this up on my main RAID system at home. Now I want to put it onto one of these, and all I do here is I'm on my capture drive. So this is the drive that everything got captured to, and that's sitting here in the catalog. I'm going to select all the images, and you'll see I've got a SS Drive 15, and it's got a Beck SS Drive 15 DNG folder. I can just drag that and drop it onto that there, and that will move all of those files onto that little SSD drive, and it's also moved now. The catalog will be also moved on to the SSD drive. Now, part of my naming system is whatever drive are my working drives, you'll see that I've attached the drive's name to the folders that I'd be ever using in Lightroom. And what I mean by that is if you come up here, you'll actually see there's a LaCease 14, a LaCease 15, an SSD 14, an SSD 15 in my catalogs. But if I go down a bit into my catalogs, there'll be something that says photo shoots. And if I click on this, these are all of my catalogs for all the other drives. So you'll see Donna, drive 13. Come down further, Anna SSD 13 drive. Without even having it with me, I have that shoot in preview mode with me at all times. It's in the catalog in my system. And when I get back to the home office, my RAID system has this photo shoots, which is my home backup for my working drives. I hope this isn't too confusing. So at the end of today, I'll have a full backup sitting on my studio backup drive in my safe. I'll have a copy on my working drive, and I'll have copied that then to my RAID system at home. So I will have my 3 different copies in 2 different places at all times. So I think this is copied now to all places. I've go to my SSD 15 folder and to Beck SSD DNG folder, and hopefully I scroll to the bottom and there's our shoot. So the next part of my workflow from here, now I'm working on my working drive now. So at this stage, I would have a copy at home and a copy in the safe. So this is when I go through and that's never going to get used in my working system. So I just hit X and I'll start deleting the pictures that I know, well, I can't see myself using. And if I'm not sure, I will leave them. But if I'm 100% sure I would not use that picture, I'm deleting it now off my working drive. It's just a matter of going through the whole shoot until I get to the end. As long as I've got my pictures backed up on my home RAID system and here, I will then delete all of these flagged pictures off here. So once I've gone through and cleaned out all the ones that I won't be using, I've now told Lightroom to hide all the ones that I marked for deletion, and now I just click through these pictures. I now color code them. So 9's the first one I'll do, which is blue. I'll just click through anything I think I will use. I am just clicking 9. I'm waiting for them to pop, and I'm looking for certain things for me. Everyone's going to have a different taste to what pictures they like, but I'm looking for a certain look for this picture. Plenty of eyes is what I'm looking for. So once I've finished marking with 9, you'll see them all marked blue there. So now what I'll do, if I turn on my color codes, I'll ask it to show me all the colors that I'm going to mark, because I've only marked some, because it allows me to go back and forward and change my mind. Otherwise, if I had a green marked, I wouldn't see it here unless I have the green dot. So now I'm just going to come back to the blues and now compare the blues with each other. And I can just compare the 2 pictures, or might even be 3 pictures. And this is going to cull it down to half. Sometimes if it's a really cool picture, I might jump it up the grade so I don't see it again until I get to the final selection. Cool, and now all I do is if I turn off my blues, I only see my greens. I will continue this way till I get down to my reds, because now I'm comparing the best with the best. It's just my way of really get me to my favorite picture out of the shoot, because I'm now only looking at the better pictures compared to the better pictures. So I'm getting close to the end. So you'll see that there's where it starts. Look, I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got about 8 pictures now that have been brought down into that group. This is where it gets tougher, because you're only comparing the best with the best. Like the attitude, yeah, attitude, I think I like. All right, so now I'm down to my reds only. So I'm down to these 4 pictures. So I might have got down to maybe 8 pictures or 10 or 15 pictures. Now I'll come in with the stars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But being this amount of pictures, I think I can pick the one that I like the best. I think I'm going to go that one. This one I like, but she's a bit too bitchy. I think I'm prettier there. I'd like that stare. I like this really strong attitude stare. So I'm going to put a 5 on it now. So now it's got marked with 5 stars. You'll notice others with 5 stars. They're normally the ones that will be retouched. From here, what I'll do is go in and fine tune my raw picture. I'll come in and play with each of my settings a little bit, just double check, and I'll be on a better screen at home, just looking, fine tuning it all. So now I'm going to export this out. I'm just going to go down into export. You'll see it's saving to the SSD back into the process folder. It's going to be saving it as a TIFF in Adobe RGB 16-bit. All my work is pretty much saved out of 16-bit TIFF, regardless of its color or black and white or whatever. I want to work in my pictures in color, even though they look black and white. So then I'll just export to that and then open it up in Photoshop. Then once it's in Photoshop, I'll just run my action set, which doesn't really do anything till I do something, but I just did a quick retouch on this. So a healing layer in there, just cleaned off all of there, my dodge, my burn, my cutting layer, which is a shaping layer. The color fill layer is not used on the black and white picture. Gradient map to get that punch. And the curve layer is normally a helper layer. So you'll see here, it hasn't been used at all. From here, I'll just go save, and this will now save the layered 16-bit unsharpened, uncropped image into the Beck folder. So this is SSD 15. Just a couple of quick things on here. You'll see some of these have got grey dots on them. That means it's 100% backed up onto my RAID system at home. Because I've been working on this Beck picture, it means her file, this folder is not 100% backed up. I keep all my clients' work all locked into each of their folders. So there's the process folder. So you'll see this picture sitting down here. Now you'll see lots of green dots on these pictures. That means I have now sent them to 2 other backup places. I'll drag it onto the process tab there, which will put it onto the processed RAID system in my home office, and I'll drag it across to the desktop and put it there as well. Once they've copied to both of those areas, then I mark it as a green dot. This means it is now sitting in this folder. It's sitting in my processed RAID system, and the desktop one will get transferred to my portable processed folder system. To finish off a picture like this, I would just flatten this down And I just run an action to do this, a preset up, which is just going to make it an sRGB, flatten it down to 8-bit, and you'll see it just flattens down like that. I've got a resize, and that's brought it down to 1080p. And then all I do is press my F9 button. It runs another action which will save this to a couple of different locations. So you'll see here on my desktop now, there is the 1080p one, and there's my layered TIFF, which will be copied then onto my portable process drive. There's also a copy of it sitting up into this folder section here, and that's for my website.
So we hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, this is a little bit more in-depth, which is a lot of what we do over on Inspire. So if you like this and want to check out what we're doing over there, link will be down in description. And I'll also throw some other videos of ours on the screen now.